Hi everyone, welcome to Grow Roots. Today I am going to be planting up some of my Proven Winners Color Choice shrubs that I was sent a little bit ago. Admittedly, I have been so incredibly busy. I work a full-time job outside of YouTube, and that is 55 hours a week. And then this past week, we had our church's VBS program called Kidventures. And so I started my day at 7 a.m. working, and I got home at 9:30 at night every single day this week. And before that, just so much craziness, right? I know you all can relate, but I'm finally having some time to do this, and it's perfect because it's a beautiful cloudy day. The high today is supposed to be 89 degrees. I wanted to let you all know that this isn't the optimal time to be planting shrubs, perennials, and well, some hot season annuals are fine, but not the perfect time. However, if you can watch those plants and make sure that they get enough water and that they're establishing correctly and all of those things, it will be okay. Like I said, not super optimal, but you do what you got to do, and this guy will be much happier in a larger pot. This guy's going into a pot anyway. The other two that I'm planting today are going into the ground, and like I said, I think they're going to be okay. I'm going to watch them every single day. So let's start with the first one that we are going to be planting today, and that is Talk Gardenia. This is a plant that I have wanted for quite some time. Gardenias are very heat tolerant. That is why it's going to be just fine here in Texas. However, gardenias can be very, very picky about their soil and their moisture levels and their drainage. So they aren't the absolute easiest, like, beginner gardener kind of plant. But now that I know what I'm doing, I know that I can be very successful with this Talk Gardenia. So these guys have like the prettiest little foliage, and I do have a lot of nice green new growth that has happened since I have received the shipment. I also got a bloom, you guys, and the bloom kind of went away faster than I thought it would, and I didn't get a chance to get a picture of it, but it smelled amazing, and it was really, you know, this is a little guy, so to get a bloom out of this is just incredible. It was so great. This guy is going to go on my porch, on my front porch, so that everybody can smell it as they walk up to the door, because gardenias have the most beautiful smelling flowers. I love the smell of gardenias, so I'm very excited about this. The things that you need to know about Talk Gardenia, or any gardenia that you're planting, is that they really are picky about the acidity of their soil. They prefer to have the pH of their soil between, I think it's 4.5 and 6.0. They like it on the very acidic side. So you will need to use amendments when you are planting gardenia, whether it's in a pot or whether it's in the ground. You'll want to use something like soil acidifier, which is what I'm using today. This is Espoma organic soil acidifier that I use on all of my hydrangeas, like the one you see behind me. And then you'll want to amend the soil with lots of organic matter to help the acidity in that soil. So you could use some fine pine bark. You could use some compost, which is what I have here today. And when you are fertilizing with a slow release fertilizer, then you will definitely want to use a acid loving fertilizer. So Hollytone is a really good one. I'm going to have to pick that up. I'm going to use Biotone today though, because Biotone is perfect for establishing plants and getting those roots established. And that's what I want this guy to do, is to work on lots of root growth and development. And then they like their soil to remain moist, but they really like good drainage. So I'm also going to be adding something called expanded shale to my potting mix today, and that's just going to add to the drainage, just to make sure that it's not getting waterlogged or anything like that. They do not like wet feet, although they do like to be moist. See, it's a little bit picky, but again, super heat tolerant. This is actually also a deer resistant plant. So Proven Winners Color Choice Shrubs has this labeling on their packaging that says when their plants are deer proof. I'm not sure that I would call any plant deer proof, because if deers are hungry enough, they are going to eat whatever is available, but they will eat these guys kind of last. They don't love them. But anyway, I think that's a good overview of Pillow Talk Gardenia. Just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful flowering shrub. I'm very excited to get this planted, and it's going in a pot in my porch. So let's do that. Okay, so let's talk about the supplies that I need to get together before I begin planting. Like I said, well, you're going to need some gloves. Let me put those on. And then I've got my potting soil, which I'm going to be using the Proven Winners potting soil, which I really do love. And I thought, well, I'm planting at Proven Winners plants, color choice shrubs, so I'm going to use my Proven Winners potting soil. And then I've got my pot. Now, I wanted to let you all know, again, gardenias want really good drainage. I have this pot ready to go, and the drainage that it came with are those two really big holes that you see. It's not enough drainage. So I drilled, I hope you can see, but I drilled additional holes into the bottom of this container to make sure that it drains well enough. And so we're going to mix the potting mix with the compost, and then we're going to mix the soil acidifier, lots of soil acidifier in there, and some expanded shale in as well. Then the biotone, so lots and lots of ingredients here. And then I'm topping that off with a really nice thick layer of mulch. This is pine bark mulch. So I'm going to add a good couple inches to the top just to make sure that that gardenia doesn't dry out. It is the summertime, like I said, and it's not like an ideal time to be planting it, but I think that mulch will help insulate it, keep it cooler than usual. And then I also wanted to talk about the area that you want to plant your gardenia. For sure, you need to find an area that is going to get morning sun only if you're here in Texas. Other regions of the United States, I think the gardenias can take part sun, full sun, and you're not really worrying about the afternoon sun. But here in Texas, with our crazy Texas heat, it is intense in the afternoon, and that will burn those leaves of the gardenia. So I have chosen a spot on my porch that gets morning sun only. Obviously my hydrangeas are thriving too. Same situation, light situation for the hydrangeas. And so I think the gardenia will be very, very happy in that particular spot. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I have a little pH meter, and honestly, I'm not sure that these work all that well, but I'll show you. I just thought, I was curious to see, like, this compost, what the acidity of the compost is. And actually it's saying that this compost is 6.5, and I want to get everything back down to about 6. So hopefully my soil acidifier will aid in that as well. And let me just stick it into my Proven Winners potting soil. Actually, the Proven Winners is more acidic. It's at about a 4.75 is what it's telling me. So I may end up just doing just a little bit of compost in there, but the Proven Winners potting soil is more acidic than my compost is. So that's good to know, getting started for sure. And again, my soil acidifier will help with that as well. So yeah, just gonna start over here. Move my gardenia out of the way because that's going in last. And so is the mulch. So let's get that in there. I've always found Proven Winners potting soil to be super light and airy. I also want to say that I gave the potting mix like a really good spray this morning of water so that it is already full of moisture, so that the gardenia won't have to worry about that at all when it's planted. Okay, so I've got some of that. I was planning on putting like a good amount of compost in here, but now that I see that it's not as acidic, the compost that I'm using is Living Earth compost that's sold here in Texas. It's sold at Lowe's, and it is still going to help a lot, I think, just in terms of organic matter and giving it the nutrients that it needs to get those roots established. So I'm putting a good amount, but I would say the ratio is like 25% of what I'm putting in here for sure. I'm gonna mix that all up and then add some soil acidifier. And I'm just gonna spread that all in, guys. Mix it all in. I'm just doing a couple handfuls for now. It's about half full. Trying to mix it completely in. I'm probably going to put another layer of soil acidifier on the top. I just really want to make sure that this soil stays acidic. With our alkaline water, it can turn alkaline pretty quickly. So, all right. Now we're going to mix in some biotone in that as well. Probably should have done that before, but it's okay. Get those roots. Biotone really helps establish the root systems of any kind of plant, honestly, when you're planting it. I use biotone with every single planting, whether it be shrubs or whether it be perennials or annuals or trees. It helps those roots to get established. And during the first year, for sure, of planting this gardenia, I'm not expecting a lot of flowers. I'm not expecting a ton of growth, although it would be great. I'm already seeing some growth, which is great. But what I really want it to do is establish its root system in that first year, because they say, especially with shrubs and perennials, the first year they sleep, the second year they creep, the third year they leap. So all of the things that I'm planting today, you'll see what else I'm planting in just a few moments, but I'm not expecting like a ton of growth or a ton of blooms. I really just want that plant to get established and happy, and then it can begin really growing and flowering and things like that. But these things take time, especially if they're not annuals. So, okay, now we're ready to place the gardenia into the pot and see how that's perfect. So what I like to do is I like to place it inside the pot, and you see how it's got all of the room all around it. Now I will fill it back in with potting mix, compost, soil acidifier, and biotone all around it until I've reached the top. Actually, I want this to go a little bit further down because we are going to do a layer of mulch. I want there to be a lot of room, so I'm kind of squishing it, making room for it to go down a little bit further, making sure it's level. I still think it could go down a little bit more, so let me help it out. Okay, that's maybe too far, but we'll see. No, I think that's good because I want to put a really good layer of mulch down. So I'm going to squish that back in. There's not a lot, honestly, that I have to make up for. Okay, let's get that potting mix in there. So again, with the gardenia, it's going to be better off in a larger container no matter what. And they usually have a little less transplant shock when you're just planting them up in a larger container than just planting them in the ground. But like I said, not an optimal time, although there's no hard, fast rule that says do not plant in the heat of summer. Honestly, it's okay, but you do need to really watch that plant. You can't plant that plant and then just leave it alone and expect it to be fine. You got to check on it every single day to make sure that it's doing okay. So I've got that potting mix. Now I'm going to put some compost all around. I'm going to mix that compost in as well. Same thing with soil acidifier. Okay, and then biotone. Rubbing that all around. Okay, now just a little bit more potting mix to top that up. I don't know if you can hear those birds, but they're so sweet, chirping away in the morning. I see the sun is starting to peek through the clouds. A cloudy day is optimal. A rainy day is good if you're planting in the heat. Honestly, our weather so far has not been that bad. We were in like the mid 90s for a couple of weeks, and then we got a really great cold front yesterday where we got about 2.5 inches of rain. And then today is supposed to be 89, which really isn't all that bad. And we're in the low 90s this week, and all kinds of chances of rain. So it's actually a pretty good window. If it is going to be during summer, it's a pretty good window to plant. I'm not too nervous about it. Okay, so I did a nice thick layer of compost at the very top. A little bit of potting soil. Okay, and let's put some more soil acidifier on the top here, as well as maybe in the base of that plant, although it'll probably fall out. It's okay. All right, and then I'm gonna pick up, sorry if you heard my car just start, my husband is working on our car, which we actually think it might have been hit by lightning yesterday. We had a terrible storm come through, and it was full of lightning. Lightning was everywhere, thunder, torrential rainfall. This is what we have here in Texas. And according to our lightning app, lightning hit our car. And we do see an area on the top where that could be so. And then all of a sudden our battery was not working. It's not like holding a charge. And so he had to go get a new battery, and our radio electronics went out yesterday. So I honestly think that it might have been hit by lightning. Yeah, that's really fun, but that's what's going on in the background if you hear that. But anyway, we're ready to get this gardenia taken out, and it created a nice hole for it, which I'm gonna put my Biotone starter fertilizer in that hole, nice and thick, and then on the top and around. Okay, all right, so it's ready to go. Now all I need to do is kind of get it nice and loose. Yeah. Not bad though. You see the, okay. Okay, so let's get it in there. Perfect. And the gardenia is not fully in the center of that pot. I should have kept that in mind when I created my hole, but I'm not worried about that. That's totally fine. Okay. So we've got that. I'm going to put one more layer of soil acidifier right on top. Just can't be too careful there. I'm curious to see what my pH meter is going to say initially before the soil acidifier takes off. So we're good. Yay. It looks like the soil, well, it's going up as I speak. It looks like it says that it's at about, I think about a 5. So that's really great. The gardenia is going to be happy that way. And I think it's just going to continue to improve with the soil acidifier in it. And I collected some rainwater yesterday. So rather than watering it in with alkaline water, I have nice acidic rainwater to water it in. So the next task is to put it in its spot where it's going to go, which is over by where my husband is doing the work. So bear with me here, but we're going to go put it over there. Okay, so here's where it's going to be placed. It's not hooked up to irrigation quite yet. I don't have time. I need to get these plants in the ground today before it gets too hot. And so I may end up filming that later. I may not. Y'all just bear with me. But I will hook this up to irrigation. But to get it watered in today, I have some nice fresh rainwater that I collected. I just use 5-gallon buckets in areas that I know water kind of comes off of the roof. We do have gutters, but we still have water, like, you know, gushes off the roof in torrential downpours like we had yesterday. So I was able to get some nice rainwater. We'll just water that in, and we're going to move on to the next plant that I'm going to plant, which is the Funyella Clematis. So excited about that one. So here we go. Nice, good water. Okay, so now I am getting ready to plant the Funyella Clematis. So the last few weeks that I have had Funyella Clematis still in its pot, it has grown tremendously. I don't know if you guys want to look back at my unboxing video where I unboxed these Proven Winners plants, but these color choice shrubs, but it really has, like, it has grown tremendously. I don't know if you can see how long this guy is, but it's wow. And I planted it in this spot. Well, okay, no, I placed it in this spot right by this trellis because that's where I wanted it to be. So I have, this is on the west side of my house, but you know, the sun is coming up here, so you can see me, sorry. The sun is coming up like literally right here at 9 a.m. So starting at about 8:30, 9 a.m., this gets full sun, especially on this white fence. And that's what clematis will love. The actual vine loves full sun. Now, Texas, it can be shaded in afternoon sun and it will be really, really happy for it. And also the roots really need to be in shade. So you need to provide either a really thick layer of mulch to shade those roots, or other plants that will grow over those roots so that the vine can be in the sun and the roots can be happy and shaded the way that they like to be. That's what clematis loves. You can plant them in average soil. I'm amending my clay soil just a little bit with compost and with biotone starter fertilizer, like I always do, like I've said. And again, I think the Funyella Clematis is going to be super happy there because it's been there the last few weeks. I've been watering it just in place. It's literally been over there and it's growing so well. As a matter of fact, it had already started to, you know, grab onto this little trellis back here, and I had to kind of undo some of those so that I could plant it up. So definitely needs to be planted up. It's a perfect day for it. And there you go. Let's get started on it. I have already dug the hole. I want to say this, with clematis, you could dig the hole even deeper than the root ball. You could plant this, the base of this plant into the soil and even, you know, put soil on top of that. It likes to be that way. However, I'm somewhat limited in this actual spot because I have irrigation pipes that let me get only so deep into this area. And so I am a little bit limited, but that's okay. I'm going to compost it up and mulch it up on top, so it still will be really, really happy. And I will say too that I have some of this grass that's trying to grow in that corner. I think you can see where the grass is growing. I'm going to let that happen because if the grass grows over there, that'll help keep the roots shaded as well. And then I also have lemon coral sedum, if you can see that. And the lemon coral sedum is trying to grow over in that area. And then I also have a Stella d'Oro daylily that is going to provide some shade. It's going to kind of cover the base of this plant and it's going to provide shade to those roots as well. So it's going to be happy. It's going to be level in the soil, but it's going to be just as happy. Oh, look, here's Chloe. You guys can't see her. Let me see if she'll let me hold her. There's Chloe, our little garden kitty. She came to say hi today. We're planting some things, Chloe. She said, no, I do not like to be held. I like to be on the ground when you're petting me at all times, but that's okay. That's, you know, the life of a stray cat, right? But anyway, Funyella Clematis, absolutely beautiful. These blooms are, it actually has a bloom, but I would not be surprised if it dropped. Can you see that bloom? I would not be surprised if it dropped that bloom. It's just what it's gonna do when it's being planted. Like I said, I'm not expecting a whole lot of blooms this first year, especially. Oh, did I get one? I feel like that's the start of one, you guys. How fun is that? Okay, that's really fun. But anyway, such a great plant. I love clematis and I think it's going to be really happy there. And I love the shape of those leaves too. Just super, super cute plant. Let's get it in the ground. Okay, so I already have my hole dug up. I'm going to put some compost on top of this little pile. And then I'm going to put some expanded shale. I forgot to talk about that. I have some expanded shale just to put into this hole to add in the drainage and add onto this pile as well. So I want to add my biotone, which is in here, and add that over there as well. That's my little pile, and in it goes. So it definitely has a growing habit like that way. I'm gonna actually put that growing habit towards the trellis, if that makes sense, because I want it to go up that trellis. So that's where it's gonna go, and now I just need to get it out. So like with the gardenia, actually this is more, I can feel more roots on the sides than with the gardenia. So that's a good thing. That's really nice, actually. It is not root bound in any way, so I'm not going to mess with those roots down there. Maybe just a tiny, tiny bit where it's piling up right there. But the roots are really solid, look really good. So here we go. Mr. Clematis. Mr. Funyella Clematis. I think you will be so happy. Yay! Okay, let's get that all mixed in together. There's a few rocks that I don't want there. Yeah, I wish I could have gotten this hole deeper, but it is literally as deep as I could have gotten it with the irrigation being where it is. Let me make sure. And we're gonna mulch it really, really well. This is already on irrigation. We have a drip line, and then now we're just gonna put a bunch of mulch over it. So I don't want this guy. See how this daylily is coming in there? So the next thing I'm gonna do is try and find, I don't want this to overtake the daylily. Oh, look how long that is. That's so great. So I can mix that in carefully to this trellis here. I'm gonna make it go straight up for now. That already looks so good. I'm finding another one. These two pieces are kind of connected with the leaves of that. Huh, okay, I'm gonna leave those connected, but, well, this is kind of a funky growing habit for sure. There we go, I got them undone, I think. There. So we're gonna put this one under very carefully. Come on. It's a strong clematis, y'all. Very strong in those. There's a bloom right there. And then, are there any other? Well, we'll just leave that there. So, okay, we've got this. I could probably do even more mulch right here, just to be sure. There we go. That's super mulched up. I think it's gonna be good, especially because that daylily is gonna try and grow over there. And I think this lemon coral sedum will kind of travel over there as well. The grass definitely will take over a little bit. So I think it's gonna be good, and we just need to water it in. Okay, so I've decided to put a little bit more biotone on the top of that before I water it in, just because it will seep down into the soil. So may as well. And then I didn't feel like putting it into a watering can, honestly. This is my rainwater that I collected. Just pouring that nicely over the top. I don't want that fertilizer on the leaves either, so kind of watering that whole thing. All right, I think that is going to be fabulous. I'm so excited about that. And now the last plant that we're going to plant today is my Sugar Shack Buttonbush. Okay, so last plant that we are planting of the day, I'm in the corner of my backyard jungle, I feel like. But this is where Sugar Shack Buttonbush is going to go. You guys, can you see this lovely, lovely color choice shrub? So I wanted to show you guys just a couple of things that I thought were very interesting. Number one, we've got our first buttonbush bloom. Look how cute that is. And again, I don't know if it'll shed, you know, its blooms or get any other blooms after the transplant, but at least we got to see this one. It's not even out yet, but it has begun. It's so cute. And then I wanted to show you this. So you see there's a little bit of leaf damage right there. This was the top set of leaves when it was shipped to me. But you can see, I hope this is coming off on camera, there's a whole new 3 sets of leaves that I've gotten since the ship date, because this damage was done probably on the heat of the FedEx vehicle, and I can expect that. I know exactly what caused that. It's not anything that I could have done or did, like nothing anybody could have done, honestly. It's just being shipped. But I've gotten 3 sets of leaves, so it's happy, it's doing good. I'm very happy about that. And I just, and I see, like over here, there's another node that's growing new branches, if you can see that right there. That new little branch, and the new growth is kind of a bronzy color. So this shrub is doing excellent in its pot, and I think it will be better off in the ground, honestly, than in the pot. And some things that you need to know about buttonbush before you plant it. So Sugar Shack Buttonbush in particular. Sugar Shack Buttonbush is a cultivar of our native buttonbush. Buttonbush is native to Texas. I think lots of regions of the southwestern United States or southeastern United States. I think even on the East Coast and such. If I'm wrong about that, I'll pop it on the screen, but it is a Texas native. And they do grow in marshes and the wetlands and around the lakes and things. So that should tell you this plant likes a lot of water. Plant it. It's perfect for an area of your garden where all of the runoff kind of goes, or like, you get torrential downpours where the water pools during those torrential downpours. That's a perfect spot to plant a Sugar Shack Buttonbush. It can even grow in standing water, to be honest, because it grows in the marshes. So this area of my backyard, it's right here. See if I can show y'all. It's right against this back fence right here. The corner of my backyard is right there. I have Scentlandia Sweet Spire right here that was recently planted. Again, same conditions. It can grow in very, very wet conditions, but this one can also be adaptable to very dry conditions. Buttonbush has to be in a spot that stays kind of wet and moist. And it can grow in average soil. Again, I'm going to be amending my soil with compost and expanded shale and biotone to get those roots started. The same exact thing. I've already planted my hole, so all I've got to do is just put some compost, expanded shale, and some biotone, get this guy in, and we'll get this guy planted. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that compost all around and inside. I'm honestly not adding too much. This area that it's going, my husband and I recently dug up, so it's nice and airy soil. It's not too bad. I'm gonna put some expanded shale in there just to be sure. So a couple things that I didn't say about Sugar Shack Buttonbush. The lighting. So Sugar Shack needs full sun to part sun. Again, I would probably say here in Texas in marshes, it probably gets part sun. And because of our hot afternoon, I would say, part shade is probably best. This area actually might stretch the limits of Buttonbush, I'm going to be honest. I had to think really, really hard about where I was going to put it. This area is part sun. It's close to 4 hours of sun, if that. But it gets that sun in the hot afternoon. I still think Sugar Shack Buttonbush will be just fine. Again, I have placed it in this area for the last 2 to 3 weeks since I've had it. And so it has been fine with that hot afternoon sun, and you can see the growth that it's putting on while it's in the pot. So I really do think that it's going to be just fine. I'm just letting y'all know it may not be ideal. I think this plant would like more sun, and so we may not see as many blooms. And the fall color of Sugar Shack Buttonbush is also supposed to be spectacular. I might not see as much fall color on this plant if it doesn't get as much sun as it wants. So, but it is what it is, and that's what this wet space of my backyard has to offer, the light conditions. And so I like to push my limits, and again, I've had it in this condition for quite some time already, and it is thriving, so I think it's going to be just fine. I just wanted to say that before I finished up here. And then the last step is the biotone. Okay, there we go. Now let's see what the roots look like with this guy. I feel like the roots are pretty well like the Clematis. The Gardenia was the one that I wasn't sure was rooted quite very well. All right, so let's get this guy over. Probably in the way for y'all, but that's just the best that we can do with the camera angles on this situation. All right, it's in, hooray! Okay, can y'all see that? She's so lovely. Let's see if I can step to the side. There she is. I'm just gonna put all that dirt back in. So this is the one that I'm keeping the root ball slightly above, although actually no, you totally couldn't, you don't have to worry about keeping the root ball slightly above, because it could literally just sit in wet soil and be just fine. But I am going to put a bunch of mulch over this because it is newly planted and it is almost summer next week. I think actually in a few days, it's technically summer. So we're going to mulch that up pretty well. Oh, lovely. Very, very good. And we are on irrigation back here. However, in the next day or so, I need to replace this irrigation line. It's not working absolutely the best. So I want to replace that. I have that ready to go. Just letting you guys know. I'm going to get my rainwater, which I thought I brought back here. And we got to water this guy in and we will be done. Whew. Okay, everybody. I am done. I watered that in with rainwater. I wanted to let y'all know I didn't put 2 layers of mulch on that gardenia in the pot, so I did do that as well. Didn't want you guys to think I forgot. Well, I did forget, but I remembered, so I put that in. So there you go. I've planted Talk Gardenia, Funyella Clematis, and Sugar Shack Buttonbush, all from Proven Winners Color Choice Shrubs. I will have the links if you want to purchase those down in the description box. They are excellent, excellent heat tolerant plants for here in Texas. You just have to kind of know the intricacies of each of those plants, though. They aren't necessarily for beginners unless you do your research and you know what conditions those plants like to grow in. So make sure that you followed everything that I said when you're planting those. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think. I can't wait to see these guys in the next several years on that 3rd year where they leap. I just cannot wait to see how they do. So follow along, subscribe to Grow Roots for lots of garden tours and gardening videos for here in our Texas tough weather. But for now, goodbye everybody.